And welcome to another episode of the Tar Heels Insider Podcast. I'm your host, Grant Sashery, bringing you all the latest news in regards to UNC athletics. And yesterday, I was at the ACC tip-off. The women's went yesterday. The men's are going today, and I will be there. Throw on a quick polo to do the podcast before I get completely dressed up in a suit and tie and everything like that to go to the men's tip-off. But the women's tip-off was pretty cool. To see the women's basketball players and everything like that, meet some colleagues, eat some food, stuff like that. So it was really good experience, and also Jeremiah went as well. It was the first time he went to something like that. So it was really cool for everybody involved. We'll try to get him on the podcast soon, hopefully this weekend. He's just been super busy with school. They've had midterms and everything like that, along with the work he does for us. So very, very busy week. It's going to be a busy week for us all. Of course, basketball, of course, you got the tip-off. Basketball's got some big things going on throughout the week. And then, of course, UNC football, they love to come up with new stories every day. I think we found out yesterday, and then we're going to keep finding out more. So I'm just going to constantly be busy, which is fine, right? Like, there's never really a bad thing about having too much content. However, it's one of those things where okay, I was complaining because I had a lack of content throughout the summer. Now you got all kinds of content, and I don't know how to feel about it. But that's part of the job, and I love it. I love what I do, and it's just kind of one of this. It can be painful, it can be frustrating, but you can take the pain and frustration if you love to do what you love to do, and that's me, and I love to cover sports, and that's my job. But kind of go away from some of that stuff. Let's go talk about women's basketball. I have talked about women's basketball a couple times before, when some big news comes out. But, women's basketball doesn't have the same media availabilities as the men's do. Because the men's always have media availabilities. And women's had availability, I think, at the beginning, I think in August. I think right when school started. But other than that, they really haven't had much media. So this, for a lot of us, is probably the first time we get to speak to Courtney and the players in person. So it was pretty cool to finally get to see them, see what they had to say about the season. And one of my key takeaways, they have some strong competition coming up, right? They got a scrimmage against South Carolina. Then they get games against UCLA and Texas in the non-conference slate. They'll actually host UCLA. And then they'll travel to Texas. But all three of those teams I just mentioned are in the Final Four. We're in the Final Four the year before. And, we all know that the Tar Heels are trying to, become one of women's college basketball elite teams. And they can do so, right? I mean, they brought back some key players. They brought in some key players to the transfer portal. They probably will be a top 15 team this year when they come out the preseason rankings. So there's a lot of excitement going around Chapel Hill. But one of my key takeaways from it was how popular the women's basketball team has been, recently. Of course, it's always been kind of popular. They've always had UNC women's basketball team has always had a strong program. They've been in the Final Four multiple times. They have a national championship. Sylvia Hatchell is one of the winningest college basketball coaches of all time. I mean, they've always had a lot of tradition. And Courtney Bainhart, of course, who replaced Sylvia Hatchell, she's done a good job. She's led the Tar Heels to 2 Sweet 16s. She kind of brought back UNC basketball to the top of the ACC. But now she's trying to bring them back into the national spotlight. And people have been really appreciating what she has done for the program. And the players from, talking to Renai Kelly and India Navarre, they're really excited about the fan support they have gotten recently. They're being recognized on Franklin Street. It's like, hey, you play for the women's college basketball team. They've had great support at the Carmichael Arena. It was packed when they play their NCAA tournament games. Matter of fact, there's been new donors coming into the there's been new donors coming and supporting the team. They've been donating money and everything. Sorry about that. My phone's ringing. And there was a really cool story that Courtney said about a new donor that a new donor, and how one of the reasons why he supported women's college basketball is because of his wife, right? His wife was a huge fan of the women's team, and his wife, I believe, had Alzheimer's or some sort of dementia, Alzheimer's, something along those lines. And one of the things he mentioned was like, she can't really remember anything. She has a hard time trying to, remember me at times. But she did say that she knew who Renaya Kelly was. And that's pretty amazing. Because that just shows you the type of support that this women's team has gotten, where to the point where a person who has Alzheimer's, who can barely remember her husband at times, knows who Renaya Kelly is. And it's a very sad situation. But, that just shows you, but that just shows you that those type of stories where fans are personally connected to this women's team because of family members, because they may know somebody on the team, or they just love Carolina, that they're going to support this team. And we've known throughout the past couple of months with the revenue sharing and stuff like that there's been more money put in the women's team. Hence why they had one of the better transfer portal classes in the country. Hence why the number one player in the next recruiting cycle is committed to UNC. There is a lot of excitement around this program. I mean, there really is. And that's one of the reasons why we're covering women's college basketball this year. Because we're seeing it. We're seeing with our own eyes the support that this women's team has gotten. We know that they have a chance to be very good. And if they are very good, we're going to keep covering them because they get support. And it's not even just because we're trying to do this to make us feel good or to be woke, as some people may say. The ratings have gone up. According to ESPN, it's like so. Caitlin Clark, of course, was a major factor why the ratings went up. But here's the thing: the ratings went up even after she had left. According to ESPN, the 2024-25 NCAA women's basketball regular season averaged 280,000 viewers across 87 games on ESPN networks: ABC, ESPN, ESPN2, and ESPNU, up 3% from last year. And the highest on ESPN networks since the 2008-2009 season. The media company saw its strongest viewership gains on ABC and ESPN, the networks with the largest distribution. The 3 ABC games this year drew an average of 1.3 million viewers, up 120% over the 6 ABC games from last year. Games on ESPN averaged 511,000 viewers over 28 games, up 13% compared to the 27 games the network aired last year. So women's college basketball is growing. And as a company, as on SI, we are going to grow with it. Women's college basketball is growing. You can't not deny it. And when something's growing and you're watching it grow, you're going to cover it. And North Carolina, as a program, and this women's college basketball program is growing. And by the way, just to remind you guys, women's college basketball, they're played on Tuesdays, Thursdays, usually the games, we pull up the schedule. Usually women's college basketball games are played during the weekdays. They're not played on Saturdays. So for the women's teams, they're often played on Mondays, Thursdays, and Sundays. So it's not like men's basketball where they're playing on Saturdays. They're often playing on school nights. So that's pretty incredible that these numbers are rising. And you're not only seeing it across the major college basketball teams, you're seeing it in programs all across the country, no matter what the size. So I think it's pretty incredible to see this growth, not only in women's basketball, but in the women's program at UNC, which has always been pretty successful. But now you're seeing coming back in the limelight, especially with the surge of popularity that women's college basketball received, and really women's basketball in general, because the WNBA's also gained some, maybe not as much as women's college basketball, but it's gained a lot more interest because of players like Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Cameron Brink, Paige Beckers, you name it. But anyway, that's going to wrap up today's podcast. It's going to be short one because I got to head over to Charlotte. We'll be back tomorrow with some more content in regards to UNC basketball. We're going to talk more about the men's tomorrow. Of course, I'm going to have all my perspectives from there. I'm going to be the only one. I'm going to be going solo today. Sarah won't be coming with me. He's got folks on school, and of course, his women's college basketball content, which you can find on North Carolina Tar Heels on SI. So make sure to go check that out. But anyway, I'm your host, Grant Sashray, the lead beat writer for North Carolina Tar Heels on SI. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.